Hey guys, so we're going to do some foundation remote collar work with Lola. So I'm going to introduce her to the e-collar technologies mini educator. And what I'm going to do is first we got to make sure we get a good fit. No. So I have a few other videos on this. I want the collar to be snug. Generally, I try to locate it on the muscle chain on either side of their neck. And I don't want this box to be loose enough to wiggle around the neck. I know, you're full of it. You are so ready to get to work. So I haven't cut the strap on hers just yet because we'll see if maybe we change contact points. I want to make sure I've got a lot of play in the strap of her collar. So I want her collar to be snug enough so this box doesn't rotate around her neck easily. I don't want it to be, and I'll loosen it up to show you guys. I don't want it to be so loose that I can twist this box around her neck very easily. That's not going to get me good contact, and that's not going to be very productive in her feeling it consistently. It's actually less beneficial to the dog to have your collar loose because they might not feel it in one area and then they twist or they flinch or they shake at it and then they feel it again. So I've had that happen to a couple of clients whose dogs normally would respond to level X, whatever their general working level is for distractions or in the home. And they're like, you know, he wasn't listening, so I dialed up, and then all of a sudden he overreacted. So chances are, one, he could have been distracted and maybe just ignoring you. But a lot of times what I see is the collar's too loose. So the dog doesn't feel it, doesn't feel it, doesn't feel it. You dial up, they don't feel it. You dial up, they don't feel it. And then all of a sudden they shift and they do feel that higher level. And it's a little too intimidating or it's too intense when they would have responded to the lower level if they had better contact and better fit with their collar. I know it's all loose. So I'm going to snug this back up. And then with her, one of the exercises I want to start with is food toss. So we have a couple other videos on that. What I'm going to do is take some of her kibble, and I'm just going to get rid of this strap so it doesn't bug her while we're working. So I'm just going to fold it back on itself 100 times. So I've got it basically somewhere between the ear and the shoulder blade is where I like to position it. Along that muscle, along the side of the neck. I don't like it down here, it's too scruffy. I don't usually put it on the back of the neck either. So what I'm going to do is take some of her kibble, and we've got other videos on this. I'm going to toss a piece of kibble away from me over this direction. When she grabs it and she eats it, I'm going to press the remote collar button and see if she turns around and comes back to me to get another piece. Just like a lot of our other training, I'm not going to say anything to her because I want her to figure out, oh, hey, what's that tap, 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 tap feeling, that sensation? Oh, turn around and I get some food. That's pretty cool. Where did I stick? There we go. So first, let's turn this. We'll find her working level so you guys can see her. And hopefully this display, when it's lit up, sometimes it's hard to see. That's perfect. So I'm going to use one level at a time until she shows me some type of response, which usually, obviously, level 1, we don't get any response. Level 2. And there is an indicator light on the remote and on the collar, so you guys will see the collar light up. Not quite, we'll try 4. And I usually try to have not too much distraction. So that may have been, so I'll try that one more time. Wait until she's a little less engaged with the sniffing. I want to make sure the dog's not in command or expecting anything from me because I don't want a false reaction. So I'll wait for her to turn back this way, and we're still on 4. So maybe sort of, I'm going to go up to 5 and just see if she shows a little bit better response. So see the little kind of looking around, that may be the level that we start at. Hey guys, so we've got Lola fit with the remote collar, and then we went through and we found her working level is about a 5. So what we're going to do is the food toss recall game, where I take some of her kibble, I'm going to throw it down the end of the room, apply pressure after she grabs that piece of kibble, and then praise her as soon as she starts to come in my direction, and I'll re-reward her. So just like with our obedience commands, I'm not going to say anything till I get good patterning, which she's going to pick up really quick. And then I can start to name it once I see reliability in her coming back. So this is a little subliminal messaging when we first start the foundation of she's just gonna feel like, oh, I go get food, I come back. I go get food, I come back. And she's barely gonna feel this sensation, but it's gonna start to pair with when she's away, she feels it, tap, 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 or hold pressure. When she turns back towards me, it goes away, so that pressure turns off. So she's gonna be figuring out how to turn pressure off from the remote. Nope, sit. Good. So we're gonna toss food, apply pressure. As soon as she comes back in my direction, that pressure goes off, and we praise, praise, praise until she gets back to me. That's something that I work on a lot with my clients, is sometimes we forget to praise the dog as they're moving in our direction. Don't wait until your dog comes up to you to praise them for recall, you guys. All right, Lola. So I'm gonna toss the food that way, and then I'm gonna apply pressure, and the pressure will go away. Toss the food. She's gonna knock it all over the place. I don't know if she, let's try not knocking it all over. She grabs it, pressure, yes, good girl. So that's really quick because I want her to just turn around and run back to me. And then all of our marker words, praise, good girl, things like that, help to add a little enthusiasm so that she's not just like, all right, I got the food over here, now what? It's, oh, I looked at you, or oh, I took a step towards you and you're praising me, I must be doing something right. Pressure, yes, good girl. Pressure, yes, good girl. When I start to see reliability in the dog going out and coming back and starting to understand the game, essentially, then I can start to name it. But I want to make sure I'm getting this reliable pattern before I start to add my words. Same thing as with the obedience commands. Because what I don't want is for her to be out there and sniffing or wandering to the other end of the room or trying to mess with the other dogs, and I'm sitting here going, come, 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 and reinforcing for her that come means the opposite of get your butt over here. It means try and play with another dog or go and sniff and ignore me. So I want to initially set her up for success where I know that basically her default behavior is going to be to do the right thing. Until she gets better and we get stronger commands and a better foundation, so she starts to improve her skills with the remote, then we can increase the difficulty and start to add competing motivators. But at that point, she's already going to have a really clear understanding of what's expected, how to turn the pressure off from the remote and everything along those lines. So it's not going to scare or startle her if we needed to use a little bit more pressure. She's going to fully understand, oh yeah, I was supposed to be doing this and I wasn't, my bad. Let me come over to you, or let me do my command the appropriate way and I'll get some food or something. Good girl. Whoops. Pressure. Oh, she missed it. Pressure. Yes, good girl. Pressure. Yes, good girl. Good job, little miss. Let's toss another one of those. Pressure. Yes, good girl. And I like to start all of their foundation recall exercises, or at least as much as possible, with them facing away from me. Because I want to create a really patterned 180-degree turn and run back to me. It's a little bit less realistic if you start your foundation training with the dog like this and they just come to you. Because they're not engaged with something else. So it doesn't practice having them disengage and come back to you for reward or to turn pressure off or anything like that. Other things that I do, which she probably won't do because she's too focused, is a lot of times I'll just wander around with the dogs, and when they start to disengage with me, I'll apply pressure and call them back. So basically I could take them for like a short walk, whether it's around the house or in the backyard or in your driveway, and when they start to wander out ahead of you a little bit, then you would apply pressure and have them come back to you. And I've got a couple of videos on that where the dogs kind of just disengage and start to walk away from you, and you use that as an opportunity to reinforce a little bit of pressure and paying attention. But she's too focused for me to do that. After we do this a couple of times and she really starts to show me she's understanding remote collar pressure, I can also layer it over her obedience commands. So at this point she should have pretty good obedience commands that she offers. I should be able to do very little leash pressure and have her follow through with whatever position it is that that leash pressure is guiding her in. So that by the time I start to add my remote collar pressure, it's pretty easy for her to just say, oh, I know how to do this command or that command, and there's just a little bit of different type pressure that I'm layering over with the leash pressure. but she's mostly verbal with a lot of her commands now, which is where I like to start if I can. Not all dogs get to that point, but she's a pretty smart cookie. Yes, good girl. And then when she starts to do it reliably, you can start to add your cue. So after she grabs the food, I'm 90% certain that she's going to turn around and run back to me. So I want to name it when I feel like she's going to make the right choice and she knows what the game is. Well, come. Yes, good girl. Ha-ha. And remember, you guys, praise your dog as soon as they move in your direction. Don't wait until they come up to you, or you're going to lose a lot of that enthusiasm and momentum. Let's toss another one there. Oh, look up. Yes, good girl. Oh, look up. Yes, good girl. And I'm trying to hold this so you guys can see when I press that indicator light. It does blink to show you your battery life, different colors, but it will do a little solid red when I actually depress the button to apply pressure to the collar. Oh, look up. Yes, good girl. Very nice. That was graceful, Lola. Let's try that again. Oh, look up. Yes, good girl. Sit. Good. Down. Nope. Down. Good. Break. Good girl. Sit. Good. Down. So if I feel like she's not doing as well without the help of the leash, because remember the picture's changing. Before, when I set her up for down, I would do it from the side and then I would drop the leash like this, which gives her a pretty clear signal before I would apply that pressure with the leash to guide her down. So worst case scenario, I can just do a little bit of a step back and help her with the leash pressure to make sure, sit, good, that she offers me the correct behavior in conjunction with the pressure from the remote. Down, good. Break. Good job. And we'll basically kind of start over where we'll just do, let's adjust that a little bit, speed drills essentially. We'll do pressure, sit, yes, good girl. Pressure, down, good girl. Break. Very nice, Lola. Sit, good. Down, good. And every command I'm applying pressure with the remote, even though I'm reinforcing with the leash, because I want the remote to take over for the leash, and she's not going to be able to understand what this pressure means unless I make it really obvious to her that it means the same exact thing. I want the same behavior from you. Break. Good girl. Very nice, Lola. Yeah. But it should start out very simple. It should start out very gentle. You shouldn't toss the remote on and just be pushing buttons and the dog goes, "Ay, ay, ay." A lot of people will start remote collar stuff the wrong way, or they get a cheap unit that's really firm on the dog, even on the lowest levels. So just make sure that you take a lot of awareness that when you start foundation training with the remote, it should be just as gentle as when I do leash pressure like this. It doesn't mean we won't use it in a firmer way later on in training or around high-level distractions or maybe to discourage bad behavior, but the dog should feel like the remote collar is 90% positive. It means fun, it means training, it means adventures, it means off-leash, playtime, training with food, training with toys, all sorts of stuff. And then there's also the potential for you to be corrected for bad behavior with this, but it doesn't mean the dog should be scared of it. Break. Good girl.